Oh no, not me filming super late at night and regretting it in the morning.
Ooh, yeah.
Hello from my side of the screen. My name is Leah Mojo. Welcome back to my channel where I retell stories from the Bible while putting my makeup on. If you're ever interested to know which products I use on my face, I always link them down in the description box below. And if you're ever interested to know where I purchase my personal study Bible from, I also link that in the description box as well. So grab yourself a drink, make yourself comfy. But first,
Disclaimer. I am not a pastor, nor theologian, nor historian. I am simply a lover of Jesus and makeup. That's it. I encourage you to read the good book for yourself. If you have any questions or doubts, that just makes you human. Not here to change anyone's opinions, but I do hope that this series is life-giving and opens us all up to exploring and stretching our individual faiths whilst encouraging us to think outside of ourselves. Cool? I bet. Let's get into it.
hello friends, hi. So glad you could join me. Welcome to video number 8. Last week we said goodbye to Abraham and Sarah and saw our boy Isaac get married to his new bride, Rebekkah. So last week covered Genesis chapters 22 through 25-ish, because the death of Abraham was not the end of chapter 25. After Abraham was buried, it also covered the lineage and death of Ishmael. Ishmael lived to be 137 years old, and 12 tribes came from him. These 12 tribes settled near the eastern border of Egypt and lived in hostility to all the tribes that were related to them. I mean, the angel did tell Hagar that nobody was going to like her son, that he would be a man of the desert and be hostile. And you kind of see how that was like foreshadowing over his entire bloodline. So there's that. All right, then begins the bloodline of Isaac. And this is still the end of chapter 25. So technically, we should be flowing from chapter 26. This was way too light to start with. Oh my God. Chapters 26 through 28 today. So our story will start here because Isaac is about 40 years old when he marries Rebekkah. Now, fast forward a few years, Rebekkah has not gotten pregnant yet, which is a really big deal because they need to get pregnant and have kids in order to make Abraham's descendants as numerous as the stars, you know? So Isaac prays to the Lord to rectify the situation, and boom, Becky gets preggy. And with twins. She just so happened to know that they were twins because she prayed to the Lord when she was pregnant, and God basically told her that 2 nations existed inside of her womb and that they would be separated from each other and that one of them would be stronger than the other, and also that the older would serve the younger. Now, they're twins, but they do end up differing in appearance because the first son is born and the Bible basically describes him as being like red in skin color and super hairy for whatever reason. Like all I could see in my mind was a red-headed puppy, and I can't separate the two. And the second son to pop out didn't look like that at all. In fact, he was really smooth, probably like a regular baby would look. The Bible also says that when they were being born, the younger brother was gripping the heel of the older brother on the way out. So that's another indication that they were twins. Okay, so they named the hairy one, the firstborn, his name was Esau. And the secondborn, the younger one, his name was Jacob. So fast forward, the twins are grown. I know things move really fast around here. And Esau, the older brother, became a hunter, while Jacob, the younger brother, was basically like more of a homebody. Now, Isaac and Rebekkah, both of them loved their sons very dearly. But Rebekkah leaned more towards Jacob, whereas Isaac leaned more towards Esau. Sometimes parents have a favorite child, you know? And I'm not here to tell you that that's okay or not. Live your life, okay? But I will tell you that if one of your parents have never told you that you were their favorite, you're probably not the favorite. During this time, there was a thing called birthrights, and they typically always went to the oldest, as was custom. So keep that in mind, okay? One random day, Jacob is in the house and he's cooking some stew. His brother Esau comes home from hunting and he is famished. Homeboy is starved. So he sees his brother Jacob making stew and he's like, yo, let me get a bowl, bruh. I'm so hungry. And Jacob responds to him, okay, sure, I'll give you a bowl of stew. if you trade me your birthright for it. Weird thing to say, but okay. And Esau is so hungry that he's just like, man, I don't care. You can have the birthright. Just let me get the stew. I'm literally about to starve to death. So Jacob is like, swear you'll give it to me then. And Esau's like, fine, whatever, you can have it. Just give me the stew and stop playing. So Jacob fed his brother the stew, and Esau leaves, good and full, having just traded his birthright. See, hunger will make you desperate. Don't be making no permanent decisions when y'all hungry. It'll bite you. Somebody needed to hear that on today, amen? Okay, so a famine strikes the land where Isaac, Rebekkah, Esau, and Jacob all live. So Isaac goes to King Abimelech, who's still the ruler over the land. And while on the way to King Abimelech's kingdom, the Lord tells Isaac to stay in Gerar no matter what. So stay in that land no matter what happens, no matter if there's a famine or not. Do not go to Egypt. The Lord was very specific about this. Don't go to Egypt. Stay in Gerar. Got it. This is the land that I've given your father Abraham and his descendants. So this the land that you finna stay, because I'm going to provide, famine or not, irregardless. So Isaac was like, all right, bet. So Isaac and the family get to King Abimelech's kingdom. And funny enough, the men are all attracted to Rebekkah. And what does Isaac do about it? Exactly what his daddy did. He lied and said Rebekkah was his sister. And he did it for the very same reasons Abraham did, to keep himself alive. Isaac, Rebekkah, and the twins ended up staying in King Abimelech's kingdom for a little while. An extended stay, if you will. And one day the king is walking through his kingdom and he peeps Isaac and Rebekkah, getting a little romantic with each other. You know what I'm saying? Getting a little cuddly, you know what I mean? Not the sister and brother type of cuddles, you know what I'm saying? So, of course, King Abimelech is just like, you have got to be kidding me. Like, what is wrong with this family? So he calls Isaac and Rebekkah, and he's just like, bro, why did you lie? Are you trying to bring wrath upon my kingdom? One of my men could have slept with her and ruined absolutely everything. You know what? I can't with this family. I can't. I had the same issues with your dad. So Abimelech basically puts out a major PSA to the people of his kingdom, telling them that Rebekkah is off limits because she's a married woman. Don't touch her, don't smell her, don't even look at her. All right, so the very next part actually talks about Isaac planting crops in King Abimelech's kingdom, and the crops basically grow to the point where they earn Isaac a booty ton of money. He ends up gaining so many assets from these crops that he becomes way too powerful, that King Abimelech ends up telling him, look, Isaac, you basically have to leave my kingdom. You're too rich, and that creates power. So Isaac, Rebekkah, and the twins have to leave.
I don't like the way this is coming out. Okay, it's okay. I'm gonna fix it because that's what I do.
They all head back to Gerar, and Isaac begins to tend to these wells that his father once was in charge of. But there turned out to be some petty squabbling over these wells between Isaac's servants and the sheep herders of that area. It's my drinking well. Now it's my drinking well. That kind of stuff. And Isaac's just like, you know what? It's fine. It's cool. We'll just dig another well. But the same petty squabbles keep happening even with the newer wells that are being dug. And he ends up right back in Beersheba, where his father Abraham made the treaty with King Abimelech. Love how the apples are not falling far from the tree here. So Isaac ends up getting a visit from King Abimelech not too long after him and his family were sent away from his kingdom. And Isaac sees King Abimelech and his men on the horizon, and he's just like, what are you doing here? You kind of kicked me out of your kingdom pretty aggressively. He's like, listen, Isaac, I know, and I'm sorry. I know that the Lord is with you just as he was with your father Abraham. So let's make a treaty. You won't do us harm in my kingdom, and we won't do you any harm. And Isaac is like, okay, bet, sounds good. And it's done. And so Isaac seals the treaty by preparing a feast for King Abimelech and his men, and they return peacefully to their kingdom, and all is Gucci. Isaac's servants dig a new well that has plenty of water after all of those petty squabbles over wells. So there's that. All right, so moving on to the next part of the story, we're actually going to jump ahead quite a bit of years. Esau is 40 now. I told you things move really fast, so you got to keep up. It's also important to remember that Esau is also married to 2 Hittite women, and his mother, Rebekkah, can't stand them, by the way. Unrelated, at this point in the story, Isaac is extremely old and his eyes are super bad. Like, basically, he's blind. So he calls for Esau one day and he's like, listen up, son, I'm dying. I don't know when death is actually coming, but it'll be here any day now. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to go catch me some wild game and cook me one last bomb meal before I bite the dust. I'm paraphrasing, but you get it. You feed it to me and I'll give you my blessing. Now, Rebekkah, Isaac's wife, hears this conversation that's going on between her husband and her oldest son, Esau. So once Esau leaves to hunt, Rebekkah tells Jacob, listen, your father is dying, and he plans to give your brother his blessing as soon as he returns from hunting. I need you to listen carefully to my plan, okay? And she tells Jacob to go get 2 of the best young goats from their flock and bring it back to her so that she can prepare it exactly the way that Isaac likes it. And then she tells him that he's going to be the one that feeds it to his father, and Isaac is going to bless him instead of Esau. Jacob is like, okay. But the issue with that plan, Mom, there's several issues really, is that I have smooth skin while Esau is hairy. What if Dad touches me? He'll notice. And then I'm screwed because he'll say that I'm trying to trick him. Forget a blessing. I'll get cursed instead. But Rebekkah won't have none of that. She told Jacob, listen, let the curse fall on me, my son. Just do as I say. So Jacob does exactly what Rebekkah says to do. And when he brings his mother the goats that she requested, Rebekkah had already found some of Esau's clothing, and she has Jacob put them on. And she also covers the smooth parts of Jacob's neck and arms with the goat skins, to mimic the hairiness of Esau. And then she hands him the stew that she has prepared so that he can take it to his father, Isaac. It's the scheming for me. It's the plotting for me. It's the fact that you got all of this done, goat skins included, before Esau got back from hunting, for me. So Jacob brings the food to his blind father, and he's like, hey, Dad, as an introduction, because his father can't see him, you know what I mean? And Isaac is like, come in, my son, but which one of you is it? Now, he probably asked who it was because he did not recognize Jacob's voice, because he was probably trying to disguise it, probably trying to sound like Esau. I don't know why I feel like Esau's voice was a lot deeper than Jacob's, but we're just going to go with that because that's how I hear it in my head. So Jacob is like, it's Esau, of course. Why would you ask? I've done what you told me and I'm back with your game stew. Let me feed you so that you can bless me. And Isaac is like, how'd you find the game so quickly? Because hunting be taking a minute. So Jacob's probably super nervous right now and he's just like, the Lord helped me. So Isaac, skeptical, is like, come on in, my son. Let me touch you to know whether you are really Esau. So Jacob is probably like, frick, I knew it. But he goes over and he lets Isaac touch him. Of course, all Isaac feels is the goat skins that Rebekkah had put on Jacob. Isaac is just like, well, the voice belongs to Jacob, but the hair on your arms is definitely an indication that this is Esau. Are you really Esau? And Jacob's like, of course, Dad. And Isaac is just like, okay, very well then. Feed me and I'll bless you. Woo, this lie is thick. So Jacob feeds his father, and Isaac is just like, come here, my son, let me kiss you on the cheek, as an act of endearment. And Isaac is like, yes, the smell of the field, my son Esau. And he proceeds to bless him. Now, blessings were basically finite, not just wealth and family assets, but basically the Lord's favor. And to be the blessed sibling typically meant ruling over your siblings. So Isaac finishes blessing Jacob, and just as soon as Jacob leaves, Esau comes in with the bowl of goat stew that he had prepared.
Oh, you almost had it. You gotta be quicker than that.
Man. So Esau comes in all happy, like, hey, Pop, I'm back with your stew. Sit up so I can feed you and then you can bless me. Isaac is like, who are you? And Esau is like, Dad, it's me, Esau. Your oldest. What you mean? Who are you? Stop playing. So Isaac is like, oh no, oh no, oh no, 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 no. Who was it then that just came in here and fed me that game stew? Because he got your blessing. So Esau felt like his world had crumbled as soon as he heard these words come from his father's lips. So he burst out in tears bitterly, like, bless me too. Bless me too. Isaac immediately knew that it had been Jacob who had stolen his brother's blessing. And he tells Esau, your brother stole your blessing. For lack of better words, Esau was pissed. Hold on, I don't know why I always try to talk and do this at the same time. So he spits out, it's only right for my brother to be named Jacob, which literally means trickster, by the way. Y'all need to be careful what y'all name y'all kids. And Esau goes on, this is the second time that he's taken advantage of me. First it was my birthright, and now it's my blessing. And he basically begs Isaac, like, don't you have any more, father? Don't you have anything left for me? Isaac said, no, my son. I have made him lord over you, and all of his relatives will serve him. He will be sustained with wealth. I mean, what could I possibly have left for you? And Esau is just like, but you have 2 sons. You don't have anything left over for me? Why only one blessing? Okay, he's sobbing now because he's big mad, and I don't blame him. And his father tells him, I'm so sorry, Esau, but you will not be rich. You will live by the sword and serve your brother. When you break loose from your anger and hatred for him, you will be free of him. So Esau hated his brother Jacob because he stole his blessing. He basically vowed to himself that once his father Isaac died, that he would avenge himself by killing Jacob. Now, somehow these words got back to Rebekkah. Don't ask me how, the Bible ain't say all that. Probably through a servant. Y'all gotta remember this family is rich. So Rebekkah finds Jacob and is just like, all right, listen, okay, your brother's pissed, all right, as I knew he would be, okay, so you need to get gone. He's basically planning to kill you, no joke. I want you to go find my brother Laban, your uncle, and I need you to stay with him until Esau calms down. It'll blow over eventually, and, you can come back then. So little Miss Cunning Rebekkah needs a way to make Jacob's sudden disappearance not look so suspicious. So she finds a slightly true cover story to explain his leaving. So she goes to her husband Isaac and starts talking about how Esau's wives kind of suck and how she would never survive if her precious Jacob married a Canaanite or a Hittite woman the way Esau did. She's basically saying he needs to find a wife from our homeland, much like how Isaac found Rebekkah. So this makes sense to Isaac, though deep down inside he probably knew that wasn't the whole reason that Jacob needed to disappear. But he calls for Jacob anyway and tells him, listen up, my son. Your mother will actually die if you marry a Canaanite or a Hittite woman the way Esau did. We want you to go up and stay with your uncle Laban and choose one of his daughters as your bride. Godspeed, son. And they send Jacob on his way. Now, we will end with this. Now, Esau heard that Jacob was sent away to find a wife among relatives, and how neither of his parents liked his wives from Canaan. Now, Esau probably knew that his mother wasn't their biggest fan, but I don't think it really resonated with him until he heard that Isaac didn't like them either. Remember, Esau adores his father and would do anything to please him. So, hoping to make things semi-right, he couldn't very well divorce his 2 Canaanite wives because divorce wasn't a thing yet. But he did find a new wife who was the daughter of Ishmael, since relatives were so important back then. Keep it all in the family, I guess. Anyway, this story is to be continued, because while it's not the end of chapter 28, it is a transition to Jacob's journey to Laban's house to find a bride. That's a whole nother story for next week. So that about wraps up today's Bible story and this makeup look. Not gonna lie, it was super rough in the beginning, but it actually came together pretty nicely. I'm a fan. I also thought it was going to take me much longer to do. As you could see towards the end of the video, I was done putting the makeup on before the story even ended. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Be sure to like this video if you like this video and subscribe for more content. Follow me over on Instagram because that's where I be. And I'll see you very soon for next week's story, where we dive into Jacob's journey to his Uncle Laban's house and what transpires when he gets there. And not gonna lie, like, that was mad trifling, Jacob. We're not just gonna let you slide. Anyway, see you guys next week. Love you. Bye.